What's up, man? What do you do, Terps fans? I'm back again. This one's gonna be a little short video, so I'm gonna try to keep this about 10 minutes, 15 minutes at max. Really trying to keep it as short as possible, man. But yeah, this video is basically gonna based on the Howard game coming up. A quick preview on this Howard team, and to be honest, this is a much better Howard team than we played a few years ago when we beat them so bad and people were calling us out for running up, thinking that we went up the score when really we had a bunch of second stringers after halftime. Um, Basically, this Howard team is a lot better. It's a lot better than the team I saw on that field a few years back. These guys seem a lot better coached. Like they're a lot more well coached than the team that came to college back a few years back. And to be honest, they have like one or two guys that if they develop right, they could possibly play in the NFL, which is a lot different from the roster that they pull up in College Park with a few years ago. And as someone who have many relatives that go to Howard, it's a school that I love, that stay close to my heart. I'm proud of it. It's a HBCU. So I want to see them do good. To be honest with y'all, I really cheer for this team. When it's not Maryland on the HBCU side, I cheer for Howard a lot, and most of the HBCUs in Maryland. And so I'm a fan of the school, Howard, the school itself. But in the football field, they have a long way to go, guys. Howard got a long way to go to be competitive. They played Richmond, University of Richmond last week. A team, quite frankly, I'm sure Howard will want to think they're a little bit more closer to in talent and product on the field. But Richmond is one of the better FCS teams in the past, in the really decade plus. They've been good for a while. Richmond is the University of Richmond team. They've had some good seasons and some good players come out of it. And Howard went in there last week and put up a good fight. They were they competed. Like I can give them that, but they really got their asses handed to them during that game. And like the score might have said 38-14, but it was a game. Actually, you know what? I give Howard credit because the score wasn't really a predicament on how that game was. Because Howard competed like in like a lot of aspects of that game. They competed like a most part like maybe like early in the first or late first quarter. They were competing like early on in that game. They just made a couple of mistakes. Like you see with most teams that are not talented, you're gonna see a lot of blown coverages because guys are doing too much. And yeah, just missed assignments that cost Howard in that game. A couple of wide open guys give up big gains that end up costing them. But they did a pretty good job taking care of the ball. And there are a couple of players that I'm gonna highlight that Maryland gotta concentrate on because these guys are ball players, all right? I'm not gonna say they can beat us by themselves, but they can create matchup issues if we don't come out here with the focus of taking them out the game. They're pretty good players, all right? And against Richmond, this guy showed out. And based on the tape I saw of the game, they're pretty good players because Richmond did a lot of good things on defense against these guys. And one of the things I'm going to comment is Howard is a long way away again. They need a lot more talent. They need depth. For some reason, in an area that is so talented in the DMV, they're just not getting the good ones in this area. And that's a problem. That's an issue that has to change because there's too much depth in this area for schools like Howard and some of our smaller HBCUs not to prosper. It just can't happen. All right. But again, I'm going to preview a little bit of Howard. Again, they lost last week to Richmond, 38-14. A game that was much more competitive than the scoreboard said. Like I said, they had a couple of blown assignments, missed coverages that cost them big gains and touchdowns. But overall, they competed. Even though stat-wise, might not show it because they gave up almost, what is it? They gave up over 500 yards of total offense. Exactly 530. They gave up 530 yards of total offense to Richmond. A Richmond offense that struggled last year to move the ball. They made Richmond quarterback look like the next Johnny Manziel. Like the dude was running and throwing it. That's one of the things that I want to highlight, that they give up a lot of big gains to the quarterback last week to Richmond. And that's a quarterback that wasn't known really for his feet. And dude was running by this guy's left and right. And that's an issue when you about to play Toilet. So they have a long day ahead of them against Maryland because I see if there's any week Twillier can go for 100 yards rushing as a Maryland quarterback, this is the week because they played a lot of coverages. Like that's another thing I got to give Howard. They did a good job confusing that Richmond quarterback, but with doing that, the dude was forced to pull the ball down a couple of times. He only ran the ball 3 times, but the dude averaged over 18 yards a run for over 50 yards rushing and a touchdown. So basically, for every time they drop back, like maybe 6, 7, 8 deep, this dude was taking off, and he had a whole field ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of stuff against Maryland. I expect Maryland to take a lot more advantage of. I expect Torreira to use his leg because I'm sure they're gonna try to come out and play and try to play many coverages to try to keep us from like beating them over the top, from taking the top off the defense off, which they did a good job last week of. But with doing that, Richmond was running a lot of slants, a lot of short crossing routes, and they were killing them with those kind of crossing routes. And that's with Richmond athletes. With the athletes we have, you give us some of those spaces. You allow these guys to catch the ball with type of space that were given to Richmond receivers. Maryland have enough athletes to make guys miss in the open field and take it to the house and creep the joint. So Howard is really going. I looked at all aspects of this game. Why I give them credit for competing against Richmond. They also made a lot of mistakes that Maryland can take advantage of on film. And quite frankly, they play like a bad team. That's just what it is. They play like a bad team. So that's what the film say, all right? But you can still see the competitiveness, and you can still see how well coached they are because they played hard, all right? And I like the mixture of coverages they were giving Richmond to confuse their quarterback, which forced Richmond quarterback to go short most of the game. Their athletes just weren't good enough to break tackles. And a few times they did, it wasn't really them breaking tackles. It was just Howard just had a blown assignment, a missed coverage, which leave guys wide open. All right. So again, on offense for Howard, they're led by a quarterback by the name of Quentin Williams. Quentin Williams is a local kid from Wise High School, 6'4" kid, about a $190. I'll probably give him a little bit more pounds, really, because the kid looked very skinny. He looked like he needs to put on a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, he's a very skinny looking kid, but yeah, he's a young guy. He's a young guy. Oh yeah, that's another thing I want to say about Howard. They're a very young team. Like a lot of their guys are juniors and sophomores on their 2D. So it's a team. I'm sure this staff, their current staff, is just trying to play as many young guys as possible early. I guess some of the competition they're facing because they play Maryland now, and they played Richmond last week, and now they take us a much step higher playing Maryland. And I expect Maryland to really give them a lot on film to improve because Maryland gonna put it on them. All right, that's my hope. The main thing, of course, main thing is the main thing. I hope Maryland stay healthy. All right, guys, that's the number one thing in this kind of games. It's all about health. You know what I'm saying? Like health and of course winning, but probably even more so than winning, health, because you're gonna play better teams later. You need to stay healthy, especially your better players to stay healthy. All right. So, but again, Howard offense last week they had only 348 yards of total offense against Richmond. Again, a Richmond team last year that wasn't really that good, and they struggled. Part of it is because of their young guys. The quarterback was very inconsistent throughout that game. There were a couple of guys that were open, he didn't hit, and he forced the ball in a couple of coverages that Richmond was throwing at him. So basically, this Howard offense has a lot of. You can see the talent, and you can see the scheme that it's improved. However, like they make a lot of mistakes on offense, and it's all starts from the quarterback. Now their O line is really not that big. They definitely need to get bigger in that. So they're gonna get pushed around. They got pushed around by Richmond last week. I expect Maryland to absolutely fist in the backfield this week. Like I'm talking about every player, I expect us to be in the backfield. That's what I saw on tape with their O-line. They're just not strong or sturdy enough to keep a Big Ten D-line off their quarterback. The quarterback was very skinny, like I said. So a couple of hits here early, I can see him chicken wing and shit, meaning that he ain't gonna try to stay in the pocket. He's gonna try to get out quick and early, and then we can really get after this guy with tackles for loss and sacks. You know what I'm saying? We can rack him up this week. So, but three guys, Howard, like I said earlier, Howard has a couple of players that Maryland better key on. They better fucking focus on. And that is a quarterback again, Quentin Williams, a local kid from Wise, running back, arguably their best player. All right? There's two guys who I think is their two best players, and they're both on offense. That's running back Jared Hunter, a sophomore from Virginia. He ain't really that big of a kid. He's about 5'10", about $190, but he runs hard. and he has a little bit of shiftiness to him. All right, it's a good player. Now, last week he normally went over about 50 yards. He normally went over about 50 yards rushing. All right. Now, actually he had over 90 yards rushing last week. All right. And on a good yards per carry, I think it was like 12 carries for 93 yards. That's outstanding because that Richmond defense was really keen in on the running game. And Howard, while they didn't run the ball for a lot of yards, they kept pounding the rock. All right. So again, that Jared Hunter kid, Maryland got a really keen on their running back, Jared Hunter. He's number 22. He's a good player. Good player. All right. Now, another player that Maryland better key on is their tight end. Now, this dude, of all their players, has a chance to really create mismatch issues with our players. He's 6'7", this kid. And last week he only had 2 catches, but it went for 78 yards. Yeah, he only had 2 catches last week, but it went for 78 yards receiving. That's over 30, and that's 39 yards a catch with a touchdown. So this kid is a major mismatch issue at 6'7" with his size. Terps really gonna have to find a big DB that can play physical with him, because last week for some reason Howard didn't target him like they should. 2 catches is not enough for a dude that's 6'7", who's arguably the most physically that can create physical matchup issues for other opponents. For some reason, for him to only get 2 catches is unacceptable. As a coach playing Richmond, I would have thrown that ball to that dude at least 20 times. Just what it is. But again, those are the guys that mainly got a key on. Quentin Williams, their quarterback. Jared Hunter, number 22, their running back. Good player in both catching and running, especially running the rock. He can run it. He has a little shiftiness with him, like I said, and a little bit of power to him, all right? And then, of course, Christian Carter, the freaking tight end. Hell of a player, number 89. You're going to have to watch him. Number 89, number 22. Terps got a key on those guys. They're very good players, all right? And, of course, they have a running back named Ian Wheeler. He's like that do-it-all type of guy. You're going to see him in the slot. He's a running back. You're going to see they're going to try and do everything, a little bit of everything with him. You know what I'm saying? But, again, he's a little shifty dude. Not really that fast. You know what I'm saying? A Texas kid. Pretty good player, too, himself. All right? Those 4 guys I said are the ones Terps got a key on. And especially that, what's his name? Christian Carter kid, that tight end, number 89. 6'7", good ball player, all right? Now, again, I said last week to give up over 500 yards on total on defense, which is actually 530 on defense, which is a lot to Richmond, an offense that struggled last year. You know what I'm saying? Which is a bad omen for what's about to happen to them at Maryland. You know what I'm saying? Now, they gave up over 300 yards passing last week and over 200 yards rushing. Mind you, they gave up 50-plus rushes last week. That's almost unheard of. To give up 4 guys that run for 50-plus yards in college football nowadays, it's almost unheard of. All right? Shout out to Richmond for showing their depth there. So if there's any week, I expect Maryland to play some of the younger backs in there, some of the younger guys in the backfield. This is the week. You got to I want to see a guy like Roman Hamby, a guy who I believe is probably our most explosive running back, who I think later on in the year, I expect him to have a major role in this offense, because those swing passes out of the backfield, with the way teams are going to drop back to try to protect themselves from receivers taking the top off of the defense, that kid is going to eat later on in the year. He's quick, he's fast, and he has a lot of power that people don't think he has. Roman Hamby. Remember that name, all right? I expect to see him this week, all right? I expect us to play a lot more younger guys this week. Some of the younger guys I expect to see more against Howard. Some of them are on defense, too. Guys like Corey Cooley Jr. I didn't really see him last week. I expect to see the field a lot this week. Guy like, what's his name? Tommy Akinsotu, the local kid from Flowers High School in Bowie, Maryland. The D-tackle kid, I expect to see him. I expect to see some of our younger guys who recruited the last 2 cycles on the D-line to start playing a little bit more this week, so they can just get their feet well and just to see what we got going forward, all right? So, again, Tommy, I expect to see him. The kids, Taeze Johnson, the St. John's kid, the D-tackle kid, those are all kids I want to see this week, all right? I want to see them get their feet well, just to see, for someone like me, to see what we got. If it's something that, if they're heading for a red shirt, or it's someone that can actually, produce on the team, and actually get out there and have some reps. actual reps during the games. Later on in the season, when games start mattering and guys start getting tired, our starters are getting tired. In the Big Ten, depth matters. So I want to see us start developing that depth now against a team like Howard. So again, I want to see the younger D-line time with what is it, Demond Robinson, another kid. I want to see him play this week a lot. He played last week. He had a couple of pass rushing reps. He came in doing passing situations. I expect him to play a lot more this week because we're gonna be in the backfield a lot, creating a lot more long and passing distance. And I expect to see our pass rushers, our younger pass rushers, very talented pass rushers, to start playing a little bit more. All right, guys. So again, those are just the excitement that I have right now. Oh, and of course, I want to see Marcus Fleming on kick return. I feel like last week, one of the things that I was disappointed in is our return game, not just on the coverage units, but the actual return game. I felt like there was no buzz in that, and we have too much good athletes for us not to create issues for opponent on special teams on both returning and coverage teams. So again, last week there was no spark on special teams. I expect us to maybe see Marcus Fleming out there on the quick return this week, because that's something he was very good at in high school, and he's always been good at. He's a quick, twitchy athlete, basically like the similar build like the West Virginia kid who killed us on Saturday. I want to see Marcus Fleming out there. Jesson Jones, that's another guy I want to see more involved. I want to see the secondary receivers. Yeah, we know about Demas. Yeah, we know about what's his name, Rakim. But I want to see our secondary receiving guys step up this week. Guys like Daryl Jones, Jesson Jones, Carlos Carrera. Those guys, I want to see them get more involved. And of course, what's his name? Brian Cobbs. Brian Cobbs has been having drop issues. Like, for some reason, every time I really go look at them, he's dropping the football. Like, dude, I don't care if it's a 1 yard pass they throw it to you, you hang on to the football, bro. Stop dropping that football. Especially in a team with this much good young talent. Later on, you're gonna risk a younger guy coming and taking your spot. That's the risk you having. Like a guy like what is it, Tyshawn Felton. That kid is gonna be a damn good receiver for Maryland down the road. He's young now. He needs to put on some muscles. But that kid, in terms of route running and hands and going up and getting the ball, he's as good as we get right now. But he needs to. There's a lot of things he needs to learn because he missed his whole high school senior, and then he missed conference season. So that's almost 2 years of football this kid haven't seen. But and Tyshawn Felton, remember that name. That's a baller for Maryland. All right. That's the type of kids I want to see this week. Just our younger talent, like the guys who could this past cycle and then the cycles before that. Just get them out there, let them get their feet wet. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about in games like Howard. Trying to get as many guys you see that you think can possibly help you down the road, or guys you think that might not help you, just throw them out there to see what they got. And if they prove you right or wrong, you can always redshirt them. All right? So, again, standouts. Maryland offense, it's a major standout for me last week. They're the only team in the country that had a 300-yard passer, a 100-yard rusher, and two 100-yard receivers. That's almost unheard of in major college football. And mind you, West Virginia came in there returning the #1 passing defense last year, and that team will not finish worse than 20th this year in pass defense. That's a good damn defense. The top shred in the air last weekend, and it's a good omen to what this staff were practicing over the offseason and their game plan. All right, and it's also a very good omen for what's going to come. If these guys are already this much clicking against a quality opponent like West Virginia in the air. And another thing I also want to talk about is our O-line. Our O-line is so much improved. I saw what PFF put out. I don't really fuck with those guys because their shit's 1 minute they're gonna be pro Maryland and they're gonna put out something else, and I'm absolutely gonna disagree with. So I'm not gonna try to shut them out because they said something I agree with now. But they did put out something out there that says Terps O-line was one of the better O-lines in the country last week. So that's a good sign. But to me, just my eye test and what I saw during the game, absolutely, Maryland put out one of the better product in the offensive line last week of all of college football. And against a very good West Virginia D-line, I'm talking about very, very good. They have some studs. They have a couple of guys in that D-line that will get drafted. And Maryland really held them in check for most of the game. At least they didn't let them ruin the game. And those guys, they have a couple of those guys that are capable of wrecking games. That will wreck some Big 12 games. That was Virginia team, like I said in my last video when I was recapping the game, they will beat Virginia Tech. And that Maryland victory will look a lot better in a few weeks than it looks now. Just like their fan base thinking that Maryland is bad. When Maryland beat Iowa and head to Ohio State undefeated, their fans will realize, holy shit, we lost to the real deal. So again, both sides, they're gonna realize how much better both sides are down the road when both teams start playing better teams. All right, but again, I love our O-line improvements. I love our D-line improvements. Just one game, but I saw a lot that tells me it's definitely sustainable. Like, it wasn't just one man going out of his way going hard. It was a scheme issue that the guys looked connected. The pass rushing was nice. After like the second quarter, we were getting pressure on the West Virginia quarterback basically every snap. That's the type of stuff I want to see with Big Ten teams that like to sit back there with their quarterback and like to sling it around like Ohio State. We need to get after these boys and create havoc without blitzing. That's the key. You don't got to blitz to create pressure in the Big Ten. It's massive because now you can play coverages that confuse these quarterbacks, force them to make mistakes. That's what the good teams do. All right, guys? So, again, I'm so excited about this Terps team this year. Tackling is one of the things that I'm concerned about. Why I'm excited about this team. I'm very concerned about the tackling. Every play we give up last week, every kind of big play we gave up, we missed the tackle to start that play. And that's the issue. So hopefully these guys can correct this. We said that early on when Leedy Brown was going off, all his touchdowns will break a tackle or there was guys playing the wrong gap. Those are the type of things that we can't have happen, but we can work on with a game like Howard now so we can get those kinks out of the way so that when we play Illinois the following week after Howard in 2 weeks, we will be ready to roll. All right, guys? So, again, I'm really looking forward to this week. The tackling, I want to see better tackling, better angles to guys, all right, ball carriers. And so that way you don't have to just throw your shoulder at someone. In this level, guys will break those tackles, all right? So, again, disappointed early in the tackling. It got better, but, again, every big play we gave up was because of poor tackling, all right, and poor angle. It wasn't really assignment issues. Guys knew what they were doing. Guys just didn't get there in time or they took a false step. That can't happen. When you know that's your man, you attack your man. Don't try to lull the guys like trying to bait the quarterback to make a mistake. This is big time college football. Smart quarterbacks will make a quicker decision than that, and they'll beat you to the spot. And next you know, as soon as you keeping the play for 5 yards, you haven't let the Brown tiptoe on the sideline for a touchdown for over 20 yards. Those things matter, guys. So, again, that was Jerome Sprangen that made that mistake. Like, he had the guy perfectly in the slot, but it's like he was just slowly gagging his way over there. And the quarterback throw it, thinking that he's fast enough to make up the space. In this level, you got to close space out because guys are too good of athletes to give them all that room to make a move. They will make you miss at this level. Hopefully, Jerome Springer learned that. You got to close that gap. As soon as that ball snap, run to your spot. When you see he's heading there, go beat him there. Because if you don't, you let him get to his spot. Now you're in trouble because now he's catching the ball, turning around, facing you with all this type of space between y'all. It's a problem when you have a quality running back like Leedy Brown, giving him all that much space against a freshman. He might not be a freshman, but he's a freshman because he came from JUCO in college football and B5 football. So, again, those are just the things I want to see corrected: the tackling, the angling, and and tackling, of course, and special teams, of course. Massive letdown for me. Again, I just said it, not just in the coverage unit, which was absolutely horrendous, but it's also on the return unit. Like, we need to create more spark in this unit. So hopefully this week I can see better coverage unit, much better coverage, because again, we're going to play much better kick returners going forward. And then I want to see us actually start creating issues for teams trying to stop us returning the ball. All right, guys? So, again, I want to see more freshmen. I want to see way more Deshaun Jones and some of our other receivers get involved in this offense. You don't just have to be Demas and Raheem, because the better teams we play, they're going to force us to go to the secondary decisions. I want to see what these guys got now. So when we do put it on tape, it's going to make teams think twice in the next coming weeks when we're playing better teams. Think twice about doubling the outside guys, Raheem and what's his name, and Demas. Now, if teams want to do that, I feel like they're going to risk the chance of getting burnt by other ways. But we got to start putting that on film so we can at least make them think twice of doing it. All right, guys? So, again, I'm proud of the game we played, proud of the O-line's effort, D-line's effort, proud of the young guys who showed up. You know what I'm saying? Tahib still just keep getting better. Nick Cross, it's always been Nick Cross. He's bigger now. I feel like he's way more confident now in himself because he knows he's actually an elite safety. So that's the difference. It's one thing to come in as a big time recruit. It's another thing to actually start producing and you start seeing, you know what? It wasn't just all hype. I'm actually that nigga. Nick Cross knows he's that nigga now. All right. Tahib still came in feeling like he was that nigga. That's one of the things I loved about Tahib still from the get go. He was one of the more confident true freshmen I've ever seen. Not just in college park, but I've ever seen all over college football. And those guys that came in that confident and produced as he did, usually become NFL Hall of Famers. If his trend keep continuing, this kid's gonna be a hell of a ball player, guys. Tahib Still is a hell of a ball player. Deontay Banks, I can't forget his effort chasing that kick returner. I keep mentioning it. That tells me this team culture is elite. Previous Maryland team, somebody would have given up on that play and let the West Virginia players score. Maryland didn't give up. They ended up scoring, but that effort matters. It matters. It shows elite culture, guys. Elite culture for these guys to battle hard for each other like that. So shout out to Loxy for the environment he's created. These guys are way more together, way more connected. And I cannot wait for this Howard game. I expect us to absolutely come out here and put on a show. I see all these other quarterbacks getting ranked higher than Tolia when they play nobodies. Finally, Tolia gets to play a team that he can absolutely just relax and have fun. And I want to see what he do out there. I expect over 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns. It's not too much to ask for, to be honest, because this Howard team really does not have the athletes to keep up with us in space, which our offense is based off. We like to put the ball in the athletes' hands in space. And good luck tackling us and bringing us down. So again, this is a good week for us to get all that kinks out of the way. Every mistake we made last week to work on it, the tackling, the angling, the special team issues, all that stuff can be walked on now so that we can get it out of our system. Because next week after Howard, we'll play Illinois. The Big Ten schedule start, all right? And then after that, it's Kent State. And then after that, it's all Big Ten schedule the rest of the way. Starting with Iowa, then Ohio State. Again, we're going to start with a bang in the Big Ten. After Illinois, it's straight knockout blows for us coming up. And we're going to be able to throw some haymakers this year. Unlike the previous year, we're coming in there just trying to ice our faces afterwards. All right? So again, guys, go Terps. And this video, I always say, man, like I always try to make this thing short, but it's just too much. I'm too excited about this team. There's too much to look forward for. There's too much excitement going on in College Park right now. Too much to look forward to for this roster. This thing gonna get better and better. As for the recruiting, fans have always been worried that Maryland recruiting this year is slacked off. Guys, you gotta realize, you can only recruit on playing time and potential for so much. Eventually, you're gonna see your competitors gonna start using that against you. Maryland is recruited on playing time and guys coming in and playing early for about since Loxley been here. Eventually, all those young guys you have, which Maryland have now, it's going to take a lot of competition for the high school kids to come in and play when you have all those younger guys ahead of you. So that's the issue. I feel like all the teams are starting to use all of Maryland's success the last few cycles against it. But like, listen, they've had 2 straight top 25 classes. You're going there right now. All those younger guys are still there. You ain't going to start in like 2-3 years, to be honest with you. So, like, that's another thing. Before, it worked for us because we had all those bumps on the roster and that those other coaches recruited guys who are not Big Ten caliber, that it was easy for those high school freshmen, high school recruits to look and be like, yeah, I'm better than that guy. I'm better than that guy. I'm better than that guy. Maryland got players now that you're going to have to be a one confident-ass motherfucking high school recruit to look at Maryland and say, yeah, I'm going to go in there and play. Because all these guys, the Hippolyte, the Steele, the Cross, these guys will all have a couple of years of eligibility left on them. So again, I expected our class to take this kind of a dip this year. However, this is another thing that can work for you. When playing time don't work, that means the younger guys you have are starting to put on good film out there. And when you start having that, all you got to turn around and tell high school recruit, look, that guy is just a year older than you. He was a freshman All-American last year, to him still. Oh, this year he could possibly be first-team All-American this year. So again, that's the type of stuff that other Georgia rookies can be like, you know what? Yeah, even though he's young, I'm going to have to compete with him for maybe a year or two. I'm going to go there anyway because I know if I go there, I develop the way he developed, I'm going to be eating like he is. So that's another thing that Maryland can have against them. If this young guy start producing out there, it's going to make it so much easier to sell the program. We don't got to sell it on potential anymore. We don't got to sell it on playing time anymore. You just come in. If you're good enough, you're going to play. If you're not, you're going to sit behind that guy right there and you're going to watch him play. And until you get good enough and you can start playing like big time program do, like Ohio State and them do. All right, guys. Again, we have a quarterback. That's where it all starts. Let's protect that quarterback against Howard, and let's keep going forward, getting better, and keep fixing on our little kinks and little issues that ache us in week 1. All right, guys? Then I didn't really see no major issues that I'm gonna be like, yeah, that right there is gonna be a losing recipe. Nothing that I saw on film that Maryland can improve and get better at massively by the time Ohio State and Iowa's and Ohio State come around. All right, guys? So again, this video is 30 minutes. It's way longer than I wanted, but go Terps. This is a full depth recap of the Howard game, preview of the Howard game, and just a little bit of review of the West Virginia game and just overall outlook of our schedule, guys. Go Terps. I'm about to start the rest of my day, and I need to shoot the video before I start. All right, go Terps, and no motherfucking anybody else. All right, guys? You already know what it is. And Ravens week, you already know what it is. Beat them Raiders.